All right, we're back. This is part 7 of how to build a website. So we've gone through kind of the structure of what makes a website, HTML, and how is it styled with CSS. We saw like how to edit CSS on a page and tweak things. We have talked a little bit about PHP and JavaScript to do like functions. And now I'm going to get into actually like, hey, now I want to get a domain, I'm going to get hosting, I'm going to start building this damn thing. Let's go. So when it comes to getting a domain name, right? So you can go to namecheap.com. I think they're one of the best deals if you're just getting the domain only. Some companies that do hosting, they'll let you get a package deal. So if you get hosting, they'll give you the domain for free. So that might be something to, let me check this out. I had some things loaded up in advance. So that might be something to consider, but do not feel like you have to get your hosting and domain from the same place. And what's cool is you can go in here and you could say like, you want to see if your domain is available. So you could say like MikeyEmmonsIsAtool.com, and you can go in here and like, surprise, surprise, this domain's available. You could have it for just $11 a year. If you want to get it longer, you know, the price goes down each time. I tend to just get them for a year at a time because I change domains and branding and names. It does help your SEO, search engine optimization, a little bit if you have the domain registered for like 3 or 5 years. I don't know how much it helps, but it helps a little bit. You become a little bit more reliable to Google. One thing I want you to check out though is, so I've used this website called Name Checker, and at the time that I'm making this video, it isn't working. But when I used this site, when I got the domain Peer School, because that's what I want the final name, I think, for this high school peer-to-peer website I'm making for everyone will be. What I found was somebody already had, like I had to buy the domain off some guy. So actually, if you want to know how to do that, you do whois.icann.org. So like if you want to know who owns google.com, you can go in and type in the domain and you can look to see who owns that domain. So they might have something set up to avoid people. But let's say one of my websites, Flannery, right? I look it up, boom, you can see who owns it. This is like an old address from when I lived here a while ago. You can also see information like when does that domain expire? When was it registered? Who are the name servers? So who hosts it right now? So that's kind of cool. Like when I wanted to get peerschool.com, I had to go in here and see who owned it and call the guy and buy it off him. Fortunately, I got it at a good price. The downside was I found out that somebody already had the Twitter account for Peer School. And I found that out by trying to get it, and then I learned about Name Checker. So Name Checker's not working. This is a website, Name Check, which is way more than I ever bargained for. But if you type in your domain here, like Peer School, it will tell you what is available for domains and also social media accounts. And even trademarks here, right? So I type in Peer School, and you can see all this different stuff's available. Like I don't give a darn about a lot of this, but I own the .com, .net, .org. I think I have the .edu also. And if I go down here, it's not trademarked. If I go to usernames, you can see Twitter was taken. You know, I have the Instagram. I actually have, this isn't up to date all the way because I actually own a bunch of these. Because when I saw somebody had Peer School, I freaked out and I went and just started scooping everything up. So this isn't the most up to date. But it might be important to you if you're doing like, let's see, MikeyEmmonsIsAtool.com. See, you can see that, what just happened there? We got an error. Let's try that again. MikeyEmmonsIsAtool.com. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So it doesn't seem to like that I did that, but whatever. You can go through. There might be things that are important to you, like Etsy maybe if you're selling things, or you know, you can go and see what is available before you commit yourself to a domain name. So that's Namecheck. To buy a domain name, I mean, it's really easy. You know, I put in namecheap.com, go view my cart. Like, you know, here they're going to ask me if I want hosting too. If I want the hosting, fine, here I go. I want to add that to my shopping cart. View my shopping cart. they're going to ask me if I want like domain protection. So remember how you could look me up by name? You could pay for privacy to like protect yourself from people being able to see your name. I don't know if you need that. But yeah, so you confirm the order, you buy the thing. So now let's say you got a domain name, and now you want hosting. So there's a bunch of different hosting options. GoDaddy is the most popular. Doesn't mean they're the best. They're like wicked popular. Bluehost and HostGator are two really, really popular ones, especially for hosting WordPress. They're very reliable. I think I could probably set myself up as an affiliate on HostGator and make money if people sign up under me. Bluehost I'm not sure about, but I actually think Bluehost might be like actually in partners with WordPress. So I don't know which is better between these two, but they're the top ones. GoDaddy is the most probably popular. It doesn't mean it's the best. DigitalOcean is if you want to get into hosting your own stuff. And then, of course, if you get real big time, you could get into Amazon, and you can get into Microsoft Azure. Those are like, this is DigitalOcean. This is good for like startup companies. Like my open source high in Peer School will be hosted here until I hit it big, and then I'll move to Amazon. So okay, so let's say we choose, we'll go with Bluehost. So I say get started, right? It'll give me some options for what type of hosting I want, right? So you'll often have these different options, Basic, Plus, and Pro. The biggest difference on a lot of them is how many domains you get to put on your hosting. So if you plan on really, you're only going to have one domain, then you could just get the basic one website. So when they say website, they mean how many domains. If you get Plus, then that means you could have one hosting account that has lots of different websites associated with it. So that's pretty cool. I do that with a bunch of sites because then I get one hosting account and I don't have to, buy a bunch of them. Something to be careful for when you're buying hosting is some of them usually give you a good deal for your first year, and then after that the price jumps up. Like I know GoDaddy is guilty of doing that. They'll give you a really good deal to get you signed up with them, but then they'll, after your hosting is up, they jack up the price a bit. But they all kind of have that same idea of Basic, Plus, Pro. Don't feel like you've got it. I think some of them have like dedicated WordPress hosting. See, WordPress hosting, if you're going to do WordPress, I don't think you need to get that, especially right out the gate. They help you manage the site, but you could see that the prices go up quite a bit. So if you wanted to have, you don't even get infinite number of sites. So the prices go up a bit if you do that. But again, you go in, you say, okay, I want, Plus hosting. So I'm going to have a bunch of websites. If you want a new domain name, they'll help you get it. If you already have your domain name, like Mike Emmons is tool.com, then you could type it in, and they'll kind of help you get yourself set up a little bit. So obviously I don't actually want to buy any stuff, so they're asking me account informations. They want me to pay them. Site backup isn't a bad idea. Search engine jumpstart's junk. Site lock kind of junk. Constant contact is like for marketing stuff. It's not a bad service, but you don't need it when you get a domain. Yeah, the backup's not a bad idea. But obviously I'm not going to buy this thing right now. I'll leave that to you so that you can get Mikey Emmons as a tool. Okay, but now all of a sudden we got a situation. We have a domain and we have hosting, right? And we want to link the two together. So if you get them from the same place, then this is probably already going to be set up for you. If you get them from separate places, it's pretty simple. So like here's GoDaddy. Let's go into GoDaddy, right? So I don't want to jump through all my account stuff, but here you can see some stuff for Open Source High. Now Open Source High is interesting, right? So videos.opensourcehigh is hosted on DigitalOcean. So all this cool fancy stuff that goes with this site is written in Meteor, which is built on JavaScript. So this is not WordPress, PHP. This is like really state-of-the-art stuff. So the videos portion of the site is hosted on DigitalOcean. But the regular opensourcehigh.com, just because it was easy, this is actually hosted on GoDaddy. This This one home page is on GoDaddy. So if I go into GoDaddy here, where are we? So this is Open Source High. What you want to be looking at is, let's go here to Settings. So the name servers right here, this is what you want to look for your hosting. So the domain, this domain is registered with GoDaddy. That's fine. But if I go into domain details, this tells it where my hosting is. So I can go in here and I can call up Bluehost or call up HostGator, whoever it is, and I could say, hey, or even DigitalOcean, and I can say, give me some custom name servers. And boom, this is where you put the names, the servers that you are being hosted on. And DigitalOcean, for example, these are their name servers. So that's cool to point your domain there. And then if you want to get a little bit more detailed, like I have a bunch of subdomains, right? So I've got Bio365 and Bio368. These are subdomains, right? And these subdomains point to DigitalOcean pages. So these are A records that point to these weird subdomains that I've got. Because I mean, this is weird the way I set it up on two sites like that. But these just point to more DigitalOcean sites that I've got. A host means like that thing in the front. So these are subdomains. What also might be relevant to you is MX records. So MX records are for email. So like if you register with GoDaddy, they give you email on GoDaddy, which is like a junky interface. You probably are more used to using Google. So what you can do is you can go to Google Apps for Work, click on that. You can sign up for an account with Google Apps for Work, and it's like $5 a month, but you can then take your own custom domain like Mike at mikeyisatool.com, and you can use that custom domain with Google, with Google's Gmail. So what will happen is when you sign up for Google Apps for Work, you'll register one user, Mike, whoever it is, and then you'll have to go into your domain and change your MX records to Google here. And you can even see down here where it says a text record. So this is something I had to add to verify with Google that I owned opensourcehigh.com. Right? So you'll have to prove to them that you own the domain. And then once you prove to them that you own it, you will have to tell your domain to point yourself to Google's Gmail software. So that would be under domain details. It's the same thing if you're using Bluehost or HostGator, or even if you're on Namecheap. Like a lot of these things are, it's a lot of the same stuff from one site to the next. But I think that's the main things that I wanted to point out to you. How to buy a domain name, your options for hosting. Once you get hosting, how to link up your domain and your hosting, and what else? To check to make sure the name isn't already taken. You know what? While we're in this section, I'm not going to get into it too much, but this is a good time to just mention FTP. So FileZilla is what I use to sync up to websites with FTP. So FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. This is how you can get in. Like usually these hosting things, you can go into their file managers, which is cool. Or you can go in through FTP, which is just another way to connect. So like you don't see any passwords here, but if I want to go into my shared hosting, which has like a bunch of domains, I can go in here. You get your FTP settings from your host, not your domain, from your host. Punch them in, click connect, boom, and then all of a sudden it loads up. Like this is all the files on that particular server. And I can jump around in here and I can like upload, download. These are a bunch of domains. So I'm just throwing that in like as a little aside. Your hosting has FTP access. And yeah, that's enough for this video. I think we are good to go to the next one, where I think we will talk about, for your purposes, we're going to get into WordPress. Cool.